This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, but it requires me to not miss a single step. So I've been putting this video off for as long as possible, but that all ends today. So you want to hear a story, huh? Once upon a time, there was a dumb merc in Night City who wanted to find every weapon to fill the entire wall stash in their apartment, but was never able to find them all, and totally lost all of their marbles as a result. This story was probably about you. That's why you clicked on this video. Don't lie to me, boy. Anyways, with all joking aside, there are a total of 30 iconic weapons you'll need to find to fill your stash wall. Many of them are hidden, and some of them are downright completely missable. So if you miss it, you're out of luck. I will be covering all the weapons in a specific order to make your job of collecting them as easy as possible. Look at that, I'm already making your life easier. So you could hit that glowing like button below the video to thank me. Anyways, enough wasting your time. Let's go ahead and get into where to find every iconic weapon for your wall stash. To begin our very long scavenger hunt, we are going to talk about the main quest line all the way to the point of no return. And if you're playing along with this video, make sure you don't do any side content in between, because you might accidentally miss something. But other than that, you can actually play the game normally until you start the heist at Konpeki Plaza. But I would avoid doing any organized crime events. We will be saving those for later. But once you begin the heist, you'll play through the mission until Yorinobu decides to commit patricide. And when T-Bug opens the balcony doors and gets turned into liquid goo, you'll actually need to make your way up to the rooftop. On the roof there will be an AV that you can open, and inside there will be your first weapon, a katana named Satori. Then on your way back down, make sure you loot Saburo's body to get your second iconic weapon, a throwing knife called Nihon. Now once you're finished with the heist, make sure you send Jackie's body to his family, and not Vic's clinic. This step is very important. Once you awaken and begin the second act, make sure you meet with Takamura at Tom's Diner, because the second act doesn't actually start until you finish that quest. Now once you meet with Takamura, you'll be able to do a side quest called Heroes. This is where you throw a funeral for Jackie, but this quest is only available if you send Jackie's body to his mama and not Vic. Once the funeral is over, you can pick up two pistols, both called La Chingona Dorada, one for your wall and one for your pocket. I know this is technically a side quest, but it all begins with the main story, so I thought I'd include it here. Back on track with the main story, the first thing you'll probably do is go looking for Evelyn Parker. So while you're looking for the old Hannah Baker, you and Judy will eventually make your way to an old electric corp plant. Inside one of the furnaces, you can find a thermal katana called Arata, and if you miss this, you can come back later to get it, but you'll need high technical ability to open the doors to do so. Once you find poor Evie, you'll contact Mr. Hands and set up a meeting with the Voodoo Boys. You'll make your way to the chapel to meet with Placide, and he will actually drop a butcher's knife. This knife is actually your next iconic weapon, lethargically named the Butcher's Cleaver. While you're helping Placide, you'll make your way into the Grand Imperial Mall, and you'll probably be forced to fight Sasquatch. Even if you can stealth around her, I wouldn't recommend it because she actually drops the next weapon in our list, which is also lethargically titled Sasquatch's Hammer. But if you miss it, you can buy it from the black market vendor in Dogtown, but those prices are outrageous, so I really don't recommend doing that. Now we are going to need to fast forward a bit in order to get our next weapon. You'll need to help Takamura hijack a parade float and kidnap Hanako Arasaka and her luscious 80-year-old booty. Towards the end of the parade, you'll be forced to fight Hanako's booty guard. Oda will drop a katana called Jinshu Maru, which honestly sounds like a name of a VTuber, but regardless, it's the next weapon for your stash. We have now reached 7 out of 30 weapons for our stash. The wall currently looks a little barren, but don't worry, we will remedy that quickly. Now that we've made it to the point of no return, we can begin playing some side content, the first of which you probably already have, and that's Dying Night. You pick it up from Robert Wilson during the beginning of the game, but that's actually part of a side quest called The Gun, and you can pick it up at any time in the story. I know holding off doing Pan Am side content and literally doing Pan Am feels almost impossible, but let's assume you showed some restraint. You'll want to finally help Panam rescue Saul from the Raffins by playing the quest Riders on the Storm. At the end of the quest, Panam will give you her sniper rifle called Overwatch for your stash. Now we can't forget about Judy. She also has a weapon for your stash. Obtaining this weapon is different depending on your character's gender. Assuming you are playing as a female, you'll have to play Judy's questline all the way until the end, and then make sure you romance her completely. She'll eventually send you a text telling you that she left a gift for you at her place, and this gift is a shotgun called Mox. Now if you're playing as a male character, Judy will leave this weapon after helping her with the quest Pyramid Song. So I guess being a dude makes getting this gun a lot easier. Speaking speaking of having a better time being a dude, you'll probably be better off with this one too. You'll want to go ahead and complete the mission I Fought the Law, and you'll get another quest titled The Hunt. Now during this quest, you'll help River Ward look for his missing nephew, and you have to successfully find him and save his life. Once you do that, River will call you and invite you over to dinner with his family, but it's very awkward and inappropriate if you're playing as a female. After you have dinner, he takes you up to the top of the nearby water tower and gives you his revolver called Crash. But if you're a female character, then he will basically say, "Thanks for the help, here's my pistol. I'm also in love with you, and I use this gun to kill my ex-girlfriend." Yikes. Either way, you get your next weapon for your stash. After a while, Robert Wilson will call you and invite you over to do a shooting contest at his shop. A very boring quest in my opinion, but necessary for the next stash item. Make sure you quick save beforehand, and preferably go into this contest with a tech pistol like Lizzie. This is because you have to get first place in order to get the winning prize, which is a gun called Lexington X Mod 2. The next weapon is only missable if you're an absolute doofus. No offense, but as long as you play chippin' in, you will get Johnny's pistol. You'll get it from Grayson after you and Rogue, and technically Johnny, sneak onto Atom Smasher's boat and confront Grayson. He will drop the gun, and it's literally impossible to miss this. Unfortunately, you have to stick it in your stash to complete the wall, so you'll have to miss out on using it for once. Once you finish the quest chippin' in, you will progress through Johnny's questline and eventually meet with Carrie and help him reunite Samurai to perform one last concert. Once the concert is over, Carrie will give you his revolver called Archangel, which is the very gun that he almost shot himself with in the shower, which means it's probably covered in his ball sweat. Luckily, it's just going to be wasting away in your stash, but make sure you wash your hands after. Now that we have completed every side quest that rewards a weapon for our stash, we now have a total of 14 out of 30 weapons, reaching nearly half of our wall. So this next weapon is technically both a side quest and part of the next category, so it's going to sit here in limbo. But the weapon in question is actually Skippy, which you can find at the side quest marker on the map, and you can pick it up and listen to him ramble for about 5 minutes. Skippy is an interesting case, because you need to either kill or maim 50 total enemies with this weapon, and Skippy will talk to you again. After a few more days, Skippy will remember who his original owner is, so you'll have to either take Skippy back to his original owner or stick him in your wall stash. But you have to go through Skippy's hidden quest in order to be able to actually put Skippy in your stash. So if you can't get him to leave your inventory, that's why. Now that we have finished all the side quests, there are a few weapons that you can find in the open world and open world events, whether it's from merc gigs or from random discoveries, the first of which is the very gun that Dexter Deshawn uses to kill you. You can find his gun called Plan B out in the Badlands, located on his fat, lifeless corpse, and it's actually a really good weapon. Too bad it's just going to sit in your wall stash and collect dust. The next weapon to add to your collection, as General Grievous would say, would be Headhunter, which is an iconic punk knife variant that can only be obtained by purchasing it from a weapons vendor in the West Wind Estates down in Pacifica. There is also another iconic weapon you need for your wall stash that's only obtainable by purchasing it from a weapons vendor. This would be Blue Fang, an iconic neurotoxin knife that's purchased from the vendor in Jackson Plains. Now there are a total of 3 weapons you can get by completing merc contracts, or the green gigs around the map. Once you finish every gig in a given district, the resident fixer will give you a bonus reward, usually a weapon or a vehicle. 3 of those rewards being weapons for your stash. The first weapon is Byakko, which is a katana given to you by Wakako after completing all 8 of her gigs. The next weapon is rewarded to you by completing all of Padre's gigs in Haywood, and definitely one of the best pistols in the entire game. Too bad it's just going to collect dust in your stash. The things we do for completion, which means you'll also have to complete all of El Capitan's gigs in Santo Domingo. You'll get a shotgun called Bloody Maria for your stash, which brings you to a total of 21 weapons for your stash so far, and every single slot on the left and the middle walls should be completely filled. Next, we have a lot of iconic weapons for our stash that's only obtainable by crafting, but you have to find the crafting specs for it first. So I'll tell you where to get the crafting specs, and it'll be up to you to remember to actually craft them. But all of the crafting specs are unlocked the same exact way, just in different locations. The first of which, and I kid you not, is called Moron Labe, which is an assault rifle. You get this crafting spec at an organized crime activity in the West Wind Estates. You get it by taking it off Anton Kolev's corpse. The next crafting spec is Master Chief's little brother, Psalm 116, which is found at the organized crime event in Watson. Like the rest, you pick it up off the gang leader's corpse. The next crafting spec is a shotgun called the Headsman, which is dropped at this organized crime activity in Westbrook, and you'll be able to find it on the Militech Minotaur. The Buzzsaw crafting spec is a submachine gun that is dropped from this organized crime activity in Watson. The Sovereign crafting spec is yet another shotgun that is obtained by completing this organized crime activity in Westbrook. You can get the Ying Long submachine gun crafting spec from this organized crime activity in Haywood. You get the crafting spec for a sniper rifle called Breakthrough from this organized crime activity in Santo Domingo. Finally, you get the crafting spec for a pistol called Comrade's Hammer from this organized crime activity in Santo Domingo. Just remember to craft every one of these weapons for your stash. Now, there is possibly one more weapon for your stash. I say possibly because for some people, the slot on your wall simply does not show up, and I am one of those people. So you may have it or you may not have it. So it could either be bugged or it was removed. Either way, I'll show it off just in case. Unfortunately, you cannot get this weapon until after you beat the main story. So now that you have every other weapon for your stash, pick 3 of your favorites and walk through the front door of Arasaka Tower. Now it doesn't matter which ending you do, once you spawn back into the open world, you'll want to head over to Adam Smasher's boat, which is the one from the side quest Chippin' In, and towards the back of the boat, you can open this door and gain access to Adam Smasher's stash. And among his possessions, you can find a crafting spec for Ba Ching Shang. Once it is crafted, you now have your final weapon to complete your stash, unless you're like me and don't have a slot for it. I have to say, it looks pretty satisfying once it's completed. After all that hard work, you are now done with the game or moving on to a new playthrough. So that begs the question, was it worth it? Well, my dopamine levels say so. Hopefully yours does too. There you have it. That was an extensive guide to completing your wall stash in Cyberpunk. Let's just say I hope it was worth it. If it hasn't already been obvious, I've been weaning off Cyberpunk videos for a few months now. I've covered almost everything in this game that I possibly can. I still have hidden secrets and useless facts videos in progress, but don't have nearly enough to turn them into full videos yet. I do still have Cyberpunk content coming in the future, just not as much as you might recognize me for. But in the meantime, if you are a fan of Cyberpunk, then I definitely think you will enjoy The Witcher 3, if you have not played it already. But you can check out my Witcher 3 content and see if that's something you want to see. It's the same as my Cyberpunk content, just in The Witcher 3 instead. Anyways, I'll see you later.